Welcome to Learn and Love Music. I'm Duane Hulbert. This week I'm going to play a piece that's a little different than what I've done before. This is almost like a pop piece. This is Ernesto Lecuona's Malagueña. I knew a little bit about this piece because my teacher, when I was growing up in Minneapolis, he played in a nightclub. And he played this kind of music that was sort of crossover classical and pop. Malagueña was one of the most well-known pieces at this nightclub. So today on Learn and Love Music, I'm going to give you 7 tips how to play this really evocative piece. Before we get started, I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to our channel and also check out the companion video where I'll be playing the entire piece of Malagueña. So let's get started with 7 tips on how to play this underrated piece. Tip number 1, make sure you play the opening chords with a legato touch on the top of the right hand. What that means is you're playing triads, but you want to have this melody always legato while you play the chords with them. So what I do is I play the top line legato and then I play the bottom line not legato. Tip number 2, while you're doing all of this with the left hand and the right hand, you want to make sure the pedal will follow the bass line. So what I do is if I have long notes in the bass line, in the beginning I have half note, tied quarters, and then short, short. So basically what we're doing is long, long, short, short, long. And of course while I'm doing that I'm going pedal down, hold the pedal, short, short, no pedal. And that really gives it that kind of character. So here's an example of how to use the pedal. Watch my foot. Down, down, up, down, down, up. Now let's put those 2 voices together. And this is what the opening should sound like. It gives it a real Spanish flair, this articulation. Tip number 3, at the bottom of the first page, we have some quintuplets you need to play. And while you play them, make sure you use the fingering, which is 4, 5, 4, 2, 1. And the idea is that it kind of swirls around. I like using a counterclockwise motion while I do that. So rolling. And when you play it fast, and you add the left hand with it, I find that the motion gives you kind of it almost propels you along as you go down to the bass line. But make sure you use that fingering, 4, 5, 4, 2, 1. Tip number 4. When you get to the 3rd page, you'll find that there's some staccato notes that appear there marked mezzo forte. This is measure 43. Start this slowly and gradually start to pick up speed. Lecuona writes an accelerando, but not until the 3rd line. I start the accelerando right from the beginning of this, and it sounds a little bit like building up the excitement in a Spanish bullfight. So let's try this with a slow accelerando. Faster and faster and faster. It's very exciting music. Just a little bit of an aside, I went to a piano competition in Spain, in Santander, and they actually brought a lot of us pianists out to watch the bullfight. It wasn't something I'd ever want to do again, but it sure gave me a sort of a sense of what Spanish culture is like. Tip number 5. When we get near the end of the piece, we hear that melody appear again from the beginning, but this time it's a single line. It's called a recitative. A recitative is used in opera. It means that when you have a single voice singing something very beautiful and almost plaintive, it gives it this kind of a rich flavor without a lot of extra notes. It's marked a capriccio, which means at your pleasure. Play it any way you want. Use lots of rubato. So this is what this sounds like. And tip number 6, as we get to the end of the piece, we have a passage marked Moderato. It starts very slowly and very gradually we increase the tempo. So very slow. This continues on for a whole page. And before we get to the end of this passage, the music becomes even more furious, marked piumoso and accelerando. And tip number 7, on the last page, Lecuona doesn't write anything. He doesn't write slow down or speed up, but I play this passage very slowly and dramatically because it's that same music as the Recitative, but now it's big, wonderful chords, play slowly and grandioso. And of course, you can show off your technical passage work with the arpeggios. A little bit of a side on those arpeggios. It's really important to divide up the hands left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. And if you try to do it all in one hand, it's a little difficult. But to do that as this alternating right and left works a lot better. So I've given you 7 tips on how to play this piece by Lecuona, Malagueña. It's an underrated piece, but I think you should learn how to play it because it is a wonderful piece of music. We'll see you next time on Learn and Love Music.